All righty. For those of you who are listening, this is a fun little basketball podcast. Um, Goal here kind of is just, to talk basketball. I feel like in the South, basketball kind of gets lost. But as you'll learn a little bit more about me as we go through this, I'm an Auburn fan. Basketball is all we got. So myself, Peyton, my good friends Hunter and Josh, we decided to get together and kind of host this podcast for some of you guys and just talk through the basketball season. And we'll kind of see as we go how this takes off and what kind of segments and what we talk about. But thought we'd just give it a try. And so this is kind of our kickoff episode. Again, I'm Peyton, and big Auburn fan. You'll see that through and through. But I'll pass the stage over here to Josh.
Yeah, happy to be here, boys. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm excited to get in the weeds of college hoops with you guys. And as people probably know, if you're listening and you'll come to know, you got two Auburn fans, one IU fan. So I think we'll kind of lean heavy on the Big Ten, the SEC, but obviously touch on all the other power conferences as well as the mid majors as we get into it. A little bit more about me. Like Peyton said, my name's Josh. I went to IU from 2017 to 2021. So I was there for Archie Miller's 4 years, where we went winless against Purdue and did not make the NCAA tournament once. So that was a lot of fun. But, going to Indiana, you kind of get ingrained into the basketball and the history. So it's become a big passion of mine, and I'm excited to chop it up with you boys.
Josh, you guys are a football school now, man. Come on.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, man. Yeah, excited to do this. I'm like Steve Ballmer, man. Just fired up to be here today. No, yeah, I mean, like the guy said, I'm an Auburn guy as well with Peyton. A little bit tough when you're already starting to look forward to college hoops in early mid-October. But I digress. Yeah, excited to just get into things. I think we're gonna do a little bit of a season preview here with this episode and just kind of see where things go as games start getting going here. It's usually like first week in November, right? November 3rd, November 4th, something like that. So
Yeah.
we're just about a week away at this point from the season tipping off. So excited to get into some previews. We got some Final Four picks, some Conference Player of the Year picks, All Americans, things like that. So let's dive right into it. Are we going to start with the just some of the portal talk and movement and freshmen coming in, stuff like that?
Yeah, we can do that. I guess I can kind of get us started here. Went through, kind of looked at some of our top incoming transfers and freshmen. Freshmen that definitely are going to move the needle. Darren Peterson, guard from Kansas. Cam Boozer, forward at Duke. AJ Diabanza, that's a guy who you're going to hear me talk about, I feel like, a lot. I'm really high on this BYU team. This guy moves the needle. I'm making it a personal note on my calendar to tune into a lot of BYU games. As far as other freshmen, we got Michael Brown, guard at Louisville. Nate Ament, the forward at Tennessee, also pretty high on him. Barnes seems to always get a talented freshman to come in here and kind of spur the offense for a defensive-minded team, I feel like, historically. We got Caleb Wilson, forward at UNC. Actually went to private school here down the road in Atlanta, Holy Innocents. And then Darius Acuff were some of the freshman guards. He's at Arkansas right now. But, yeah, I mean, there's also a lot of transfers out there. I mean,
some big names that were in the portal this past year that moved around. Yaxel Lindenberg was a big one going from UAB. I think a lot of people thought he might stay in the draft, ends up withdrawing and coming back, and he's going to be a big factor for a Michigan team that, I think could go a lot of different ways. I think I need to see something from their guard play, but he's going to be a big factor. PJ Haggerty, Mr. Stats himself, guy,
yeah.
Mr. Moneybags,
has been a big time scorer at Memphis for a few years now. He's over at Kansas State. Bennett Sturts is a huge one. Obviously, coming over to Iowa, he fits the mold quite well of an Iowa basketball player. I feel like,
yeah,
just
Smart.
absolute sniper. Donovan Dent, another big time scorer that's kind of taken that step up from New Mexico. He's going over to UCLA. I would have to imagine he's going to be kind of the number one guy over there. Um, Darian Williams is also one too that I kind of forget about with jumping over from Texas Tech to play for Will Wade at NC State. I mean, maybe the clubhouse favorite preseason for ACC Player of the Year, or at least he's probably up there. So a guy that can do a lot with the ball. There's tons. I could go on forever. Rob Wright going from Baylor to BYU. Jaden Quaintance going to Kentucky. If he's healthy, he could be an absolute menace inside in an SEC that is kind of a guards league this year. I don't think there's a ton of dominant big men when you look at the SEC as a whole, and so he's somebody that could come in and be a really big factor. But I guess like Josh, I'll go to you. Like, what do you think, or who are some of the guys that you think like really make that major impact for a team? Maybe it's a team that was kind of right there. They've been in the tournament, but needed a high impact player to get them over the hump, or you go the other direction. If you got a transfer that you're like, man, you left a really good situation and don't know what you're doing. Is there anything that kind of jumps out at you as far as some of the transfers go?
Yeah, I'm looking at Louisville. Ryan Conwell, Mikel Brown, like Peyton mentioned. I think that's gonna be a nasty duo in Pat Kelsey's system. Second year at Louisville, you're gonna get a
That
lot
guy
of
can
shots up.
recruit.
They can recruit. It's a player friendly offense. It's a guard friendly offense. They're gonna get their shots up. Kind of have the freedom to do what they want out there. So I think that's gonna be, um, you know, a fun duo to watch all year. And then of course, I think Jacoby Gillespie going from Maryland to Tennessee. I think that could be a dangerous spot for
Yeah.
him. Tennessee not typically known for their offense, more the defensive side, but if he can come in and provide an early spark, I think that Tennessee could be a big factor in the SEC this year.
Yeah, it'll be weird seeing him tote the rock and not Zakai Ziegler. I mean, good Lord, that guy was there for 20 years
Yeah.
and he tried for year 21, I think.
Yeah, he
Hunter, to
did.
answer one of the points you made, is there a guy who maybe transferred out of a place where you thought that he would get more minutes this year and you're confused why he left? Denzel Aberdeen from Florida. He
Yeah.
was like the sixth or seventh
Yeah.
guy there. And with Clayton, Elijah Martin, and who else? Will Richard. With all those guys leaving, you had to feel like he was going to be a surefire to start and see his minutes increase. So him going to Kentucky was something that surprises me, especially since it looks like he's going to start by coming off the bench. That being said, from what we know about Mark Pope's Kentucky teams, they're deep, they run and gun. He'll probably still get a lot of minutes, but I was very surprised to see him kind of asked to leave Florida and end up at, a relative rival like Kentucky.
Yeah, I mean, especially for a team that lost your three biggest minutes in terms of guard play with Clayton, Richard, and Elijah Martin. Like it was wide open for him, and I know they brought in Boogie Flan and Xavier Lee. I'm sure we'll have a little bit of talk about that. But yeah, that's a great call out. When you started down that path, P, I thought we were going towards a certain psychotic Dominican that
Oh,
left
I got him. He's my
left an
last on my
opportunity to be
notes.
left an
28 year
opportunity to
old.
be the premier guy for
He's
a
been tweeting. He's making
yeah,
his
he's been
his
active,
opinion known
man.
on Bruce. Yeah.
Yeah, he's been letting people know about that he's kind of doubling down on his decision to go. And actually P, I was reading the other day, we actually got some of that money. He with the whole deal of backing out of his NIL deal, he like owed all that money back to Auburn. I think we ended up getting like 3/4 of it. So
Good. Pass
I
the
didn't think
buck
we I
over
didn't think
to.
we'd see any of it.
Yeah, I mean, push that over to Hughes buyout. Let's use that money smartly. And for those of you who don't know, we're
Yeah.
talking about Chad Baker Mazzara. I honestly think
Yeah.
it's a perfect fit for him at USC, being with a pompous, annoying coach over there, Musselman. They kind of, I mean, that's a match made in heaven.
Yeah, they can take their shirts off together and do whatever
Yeah.
the hell they do out in LA. I want to just add too really quick, Josh. I was gonna get to them eventually because for whatever reason, I'm just like fired up about this Louisville team. I think they
Mhm.
could be a really big factor, and I think they're like I don't have the early AP poll right in front of me, but they're kind of in like the low or high teens, I guess, like somewhere around like 12, 13, somewhere like that.
Yeah, preseason ranking
Um,
has them at 11.
yeah, so it's not like they're a crazy like dark horse, but I think they killed it in the portal between Adrian Woolley and Conwell and Isaac McNeely. Like they're going to have shooting. I think they're going to have a little bit of size and depth in the front court. Obviously, a lot might hinge on Mikael Brown and what he can do as a freshman, but dude's as talented as they come, and I think Pat Kelsey's a great coach. So that's one team. You might hear a little bit more about them from me when we start getting into some predictions. Because I also think it's fun when Louisville's good. They're kind of one of those programs that people want to be good on the national landscape. So um, absolutely, with you on Louisville.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. I know we're gonna touch on it later, but maybe we can use this as a transition to talk about some out of conference games we're excited about. One of the ones I had written down like right off the top was Louisville at Kentucky.
Yeah.
That's a great rivalry, and that's two fun
Yeah.
programs, two historic programs. And that's going to be a high scoring game, rivals. So I'm excited for that one. Are there any others that you guys are looking at that you're can't wait to watch, to bet on, to enjoy all that college basketball has to offer?
Is that game in Louisville? Where is that game?
Yeah, it's in Louisville. Old Kentucky with
Mm,
Calipari would have that game in.
yeah, he would never. It'd be
Yeah,
in New
that would
Mexico.
never happen. This is
Yeah.
a
Yeah,
Calipari hate podcast.
November 11th. So I mean, man, that one's coming. That one's coming soon. Is that so? What is that? The Saturday? That's kind of like the second. Uh,
Yeah,
November. No, that's a Tuesday.
Oh
So
God,
that's like
that's like that's
that's like
like
a
game
week
three.
after tip off.
Game three,
Yeah,
game three, depending upon everyone's schedules.
yeah,
that's the best thing about college basketball. I mean, there are some full weekend slates for sure, but it's great to just see a good game in the middle of the week,
Yeah,
something to get you through your
Tuesday
work day.
nights, nine
Yeah,
o'clock. You got a good Big 12 matchup going. It's the best.
yeah,
that's
that's
my
it.
my
That's a great.
weeknight bourbons will be coming back soon.
Yeah,
That's always what I do during the doing the Tuesday or Wednesday night Auburn games. Um, like to that point, like there's so many. And a lot of fun ones early in the year. Like obviously you got the Champions Classic. I think it's Kansas Duke this year. So
yep.
you get to see two of, if not the two biggest names in terms of incoming freshmen in Darren Peterson and Cam Boozer. That one's obviously going to be a huge one. Um, I think it's UConn and Florida play. I think it's a little bit. It's like maybe a month or so into the season, but obviously a tournament rematch from last year. I think it's going to be interesting to see Florida operate without Walter Clayton. They brought in Boogie Flan, they brought in Xavier Lee. They've got probably one of the best front courts in the country, but who kind of becomes their guy in terms of a guard. And I think Dan Hurley's got a really good team, and they're absolutely going to be a factor on a national level, not just in the Big East. So that's one for me that I think is going to be really fun, and also has a little bit of a revenge factor to it for Dan Hurley.
Yeah, I love that. I love that call out, Hunter. And I think UConn, they're bringing back a bunch of guys too. And I really like, we didn't even talk about him in our transfer, but Silas Demery from
Yep.
Georgia, he's a tough guard. He kind of fits the Hurley mold. He also shares the equal hatred for Florida, being a former Georgia Bulldog. So I think that will be an interesting matchup against his former rival. I've got circled in UConn again. They play in Boston on November 15th, so pretty soon here against BYU. That game
Ooh,
to
that's a fun
me,
one.
yeah, that's a fun one. I mean, BYU, we kind of mentioned earlier, AJ Diabonza. That guy is a monster. He's probably a top 5 pick. You got Rob Wright from Montverde, then Baylor. He can play. Scott Drew always seems to recruit great guards, so he's someone who I think is going to make a giant impact at BYU right away. And then, of course, Richie Saunders. I mean, that
My boy.
guy, yeah, Richie Saunders is a walking bucket. He's going to probably be top 10 in the country in scoring, and he's going to shoot a lot of threes. I think AJ and a good guard play will take some attention off of him, honestly. It's my lower scoring with those two, but I think his efficiency is going to be great. I'm interested to see how that three-headed monster kind of operates. That should be a fun game. I've also the Vegas tournament. Is it the Players Era?
Yeah,
that tournament.
the
Houston,
NIL.
Tennessee. That's when I got written down. I think
Yeah,
Houston,
that
Tennessee
tournament's
is
like a
a
month out. I mean,
dogfight.
You like defense, man.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, you've got Houston, Tennessee, baby. That's a hard mouth game.
Who do y'all
Um,
have in the first
so
matchup?
Auburn's got two good games, and so we're coming in preseason ranked 20. We run into Oregon and Michigan, I believe. Yeah,
Michigan.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Big Ten SEC.
yeah. That should be very
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, man. Oregon's one of those teams that maybe isn't getting as much love as some of the others as far as the Big Ten, and like maybe they're not as likely to be a regular season champion, but feels like Dana Altman's always got them going come March. And they've got Shellstad, Nate Biddle. They've got some guys that have played a lot of basketball and played a lot of tournament basketball. And that'll be two very tough games for Auburn there on Thanksgiving week.
Yeah, St. John's, Iowa State too. That's another good one.
I mean, St. John's schedule just even outside of that tournament. They got Bama at MSG.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like, they got some tough matchups that should get them ready for the regular season, the Big East, because I think the Big East is going to be kind of a 2-horse race between St. John's and UConn this year. So
I'm with you. Yeah. St. John's plays Bama like very early, like week one or week two of the season, and that's obviously a clash of styles with St. John's being so good defensively last year. Bama's gonna run and gun it, fire threes. I hate to say it, man, but LeBaron Filan he's a dog. He's so good, and I think he's gonna take a massive step forward. He's already kind of in a system that I feel like sets him up to be a really dynamic scorer, but that's gonna be kind of a fun one. That's like really early, like within the first few days of the season tipping off. Is that UConn Bama or St. John's Bama game?
Two coaches that would bury the body for their players. I mean,
That's
NATO.
right. Some
which what you want.
Some that have.
Yeah.
Some that have.
Yeah.
I digress.
Other games I had written down. I think we touched on most of the ones I had. Florida, Arizona. I believe that's the first, like on the first day. Like
yeah, November 3rd.
Yeah. Yes, that's a fun one. Expect that to be high scoring. Purdue at Bama. It's also going to be a good one. Another Big Ten SEC matchup.
Yeah, that's right.
We have a lot of this year. I think those guys have played each other past couple years, and you as well.
They played up at Mackey. They played up at Mackey on like a Friday night last year. I remember.
Yeah.
Fairly early in the year.
We can get into Purdue later, but I have some opinions on them.
Sure, they're a wagon. No call out there. I noticed of Bryce James on Arizona.
I know,
incoming freshman. I mean, you got the King's blood flowing through him.
Yeah, and then the last out of conference bias homer pick, IU at Kentucky. I'm happy that rivalry's back.
Yeah,
my first time being a part of that rivalry, so I'm excited to go to Rupp for the first time as an IU fan. Should be probably. I
didn't realize you were
probably not going to be favored,
awesome.
But yeah.
You guys got an interesting early test. I think a good coaching matchup against Shaka Smart and Marquette early in the United. I think November 9th. You're playing the United Center.
Yeah, second game of the year in Chicago. Should be a good one. I think it'll probably be pretty even spread, pretty close, probably within 2 or 3 points. Not sure which way that's going to lean. But yeah, that should be a good early test. I'm excited. We got last year out of conference schedule was pathetic, so I'm excited we got a couple of early good tests. Kentucky, we play Louisville December 6th in Indianapolis, also the same day as the Big Ten championship. So if IU football is there, it could be rocking in Indy that day. Marquette, Kansas State at home, so should be a fun out of conference for us.
Yeah. If we want, we could rip through the preseason rankings, kind of say like teams we think should be ranked, teams that are ranked too high, kind of go through it, and then break into our own schools. But
I'll never pass on the opportunity to shit on an AP poll. So let's do that.
Preseason rankings. All right, I'll rip through the top 25 here quick, and then we can kind of give our takes on what we like and what we don't like. Coming in at 1, Purdue. 2, Houston. 3, Florida. 4, UConn. 5, St. John's.
I think that's honestly pretty fair.
I don't take a lot of issues with that.
I don't know who else you would want to sub in or sub out.
St. John's being 5 is a little high for me. They lost a lot of people. That being said, Patino gets just a bunch of junkyard dogs to come in and play hard for him. I don't know if we mentioned Ian Jackson. I mean, he
Yeah,
had a
he's a Big Ten prospect.
little bit of an underwhelming year at UNC, as that whole team was pretty underwhelming. But I mean, he was a top 5-star prospect. It did seem
Mhm.
towards the end of the season he started to find his footing. I mean, he's a offensive threat on St. John's. And who's their big man? Zuby Ejiofor.
Ejiofor. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
he can play too. That team to me, I don't. I think 5 is too low personally, but I wouldn't be surprised if they had a slower start but figured it out towards the end of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like it's tough too with St. John's because you're like, where is the consistent offensive production going to come from? Like Ian Jackson, to your point, Peyton, like he wasn't anything stellar at North Carolina, and he's kind of coming in to be the guy to run the show. Ejiofor is a really good player, but can St. John's kind of find some consistent offense? They're going to be good on the defensive end, but where can they find some consistency on the other end of the floor, especially playing teams like Bama and UConn and some of these teams that we know have got a lot of offensive firepower. That'll be one thing for me. I think that will be interesting to see with St. John's.
Yeah. Oh, they also got Bryce Hopkins. Where is he from? Where is he coming
Providence.
in from?
Providence, yeah,
Providence.
He was a
Providence.
Yeah.
big time scorer last year. I mean,
Yeah.
but kind of, I guess it's staying in the same conference. He'll be comfortable, but playing for Patino's a lot. So we'll see. So he adjusts to
Yeah.
that.
They also brought in Dylan Mitchell, who I don't know if he started off at Texas. He was a pretty highly touted recruit. He's kind of I think he plays the 5 a lot. He's kind of an undersized 5. I don't know that he's got a ton to his offensive bag. He's kind of a defensive guy first, but somebody that's pretty talented. I think he started Texas and was at Cincinnati.
Gotcha.
He's
Okay.
coming over St. John's from Cincinnati, so he'll definitely be a factor. One thing with St. John's, just kind of looking right here, like they're not very big, man. Like Ejiofor 6'9", Dylan Mitchell 6'8", Hopkins is 6'7". Like they have one guy on their 2 deep that's 6'10". So that's gonna be interesting too for a team that kind of hangs its hat on wear you down, grinded out defense. They don't have a lot of size, in their 2 deep at all.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I do think the way St. John's runs that full court press, they require a lot of athleticism. Sometimes that size gets lost in the shuffle of Patino's recruiting. He seems to make do with it. But yeah, so that would be my one call. Maybe St. John's not top 5. They definitely got the ceiling to be there. I think
So
that's a little low for them.
rattle off 6 through 10, Peyton, and then
Yeah.
there's one of those teams that you think should replace St. John's. Let us know who you're thinking.
Yeah. Okay. 6 through 10. At 6, we got Duke, 7, Michigan, 8, BYU, 9, Kentucky, 10, Texas Tech.
You're going to say
Uh,
BYU? I
I'm
don't
going to
hate
say
it.
BYU.
I don't
Yeah.
hate it.
Yeah. I
They're
mean,
gonna be fun, man. They're gonna be a lot of
again,
fun.
it is a lot of new pieces coming to fruition for them. That being said, I mean, AJ seems like a surefire thing. Richie Saunders has been there before, and again, he might not get the same shot volume with Rob Wright being there as well, but I think he's going to be very efficient, and I think those guys are going to take a couple eyes off him. He was playing through a lot of double teams all year. And then of course Rob Wright again. I mean, he played great at Baylor and under a great coach of Scott Drew. I think he's going to bring a lot of life to them. So yeah, I think they could be top 5. I'm going to say yes. I would switch St. John's and BYU. As far as those other teams, Michigan's going to be an interesting one for me. Kind of similarly to last year, it looks like they're going to rely on a lot of scoring. They got a transfer from UCLA, Mara. He's like 7'3". He's a
Mm-hmm.
pretty big piece. And then, of course, Yaxel Lindbergh from UAB. They're getting a lot of scoring from their 4-5. And they don't have the best, like Elliot Cadeau is a transfer that they got at guard, a guy who struggled to shoot the 3 ball like very badly. There were teams running zones against North Carolina by the end of the year, letting Ian and Cadeau just shoot. So that scares me about Michigan. They got a lot of talent on paper, but relying very heavily on big man production is something that I think in close games and down the stretch in March, it's a guards league. and I think that might hurt them.
So would you take them out of the 60-10 range, drop them more in round 15?
Yeah, I think definitely. I think this is a Sweet 16 team. So yeah, I think 11 through 20 is more there where I would put them. I think I love Kentucky at 9. I think Otega Owe, that guy, I mean, he's great. And that offense that Mark Pope runs is electric. They're going to score a lot of points. They're going to lose a couple of games they shouldn't. But again, towards the end of the year in March, you don't want to play a team that's putting up 85, it feels like every time.
Last season, they were not an elite defensive team, but had a lot of scoring. Otega Owe is one of the front runners for SEC Player of the Year, probably the most popular pick I think that I've seen just among some of the talking heads out there. And yeah, it's gonna be interesting. They brought in Jalan Lowe, who I think is going to kind of be their maestro. But Jasper Johnson's an exciting freshman coming in. I think Brandon Garrison is fairly solid down low, and they did bring in Mo Diabate, who I kind of forget about that sometimes from Bama. So he's just a junkyard dog, man. Like he'll get after your ass. On both ends of the floor, pretty physical. He's a little bit undersized for an SEC 4, but he doesn't play at 6'7". He plays, in my opinion, a lot bigger than that. So I don't have any gripes with where they're at, though. I think that's kind of where we left off. Did we feel like Kentucky was in a decent spot at 9? Higher, lower? I guess. What do you guys think about that?
I kind of like that they're at 9. I mean, one player that you talked about earlier but didn't mention just now, I mean, Jaden Quaintance. That guy was a top, I think, 15 recruit when he came out and ended up at Arizona State, which is not a school necessarily notorious for their basketball program. And that showed. I'm sure a lot of casual basketball watchers didn't watch a lot of him, but he can play. And I think in that offense, he's an athletic, quick big man who will run the floor. And I think, again, in Pope's scheme, that's perfect. So I do really like Kentucky at 9. I think they're a top 10 team. Again, I think they're going to lose some games that they probably shouldn't, but they're gonna play well in the big games.
Yeah, I agree. I think nine's a good spot. They got a good mix of some young, pretty highly ranked freshmen in Jasper Johnson, Malachi Moreno, and then also a lot of experience, like we touched on. So I think that nine's a good spot for them, and they're definitely one of the favorites to win the SEC.
Yeah. Not a lot of talk about Duke. I mean, they're coming in at 6. I think they're right where they're supposed to be. That from what I know about Boozer, Cam Boozer. I mean, well, obviously his dad, NBA legend, played at Duke. He won every tournament at the high school level. The guy is a winner, and I think that's an underrated part, especially in today's day and age of AAU basketball. It seems for the people that follow it, it seems a lot point driven, a lot of showboating. It doesn't seem like the college basketball that I personally love. So getting to see Cam Boozer come in as a top recruit, being someone who won at the high school level consistently, won 3 state championships, I think he's going to fit kind of that Shire mold that we expect out of a forward. And I mean, no complaints of them being at 6. I'm not a Duke fan, but I think that they're not being talked about enough, which is rare. But I love them at 6. I really like the 6 through 10 rankings, honestly. I don't have a lot of complaints. Um, Anything else you guys want to say on Duke, or should we roll through 11 through 15?
No, honestly, one thing with Duke is I think they could be ranked higher. I mean, Torvik has them as the number 2 overall team. Obviously, Boozer's supposed to be a stud. Isaiah Evans coming back for his second year is going to be
Ooh,
great.
Yeah,
Um,
sniper.
I don't know. I think they're built for a deep run. Obviously, they're playing the ACC, so it's really seems like it's kind of a two-team race this year with Duke and Louisville. But you never know if one of these other teams could make a run at it. But it seems like they're going to be with a pretty good win-loss record, probably with a pretty high seed, and everyone will be rooting against them in the tournament like we always do. So I'm
yeah,
excited.
Yeah, I think Caleb Foster could take a step forward too. Like, I mean, he's a junior now, but I think last year was really kind of his first year getting some solid minutes, and it was kind of up and down. I felt like there were games where he played a lot and kind of played in that ball dominant point guard role at times. So I'll be interested to see with him. I was just looking at like some of his numbers. He was a little bit inconsistent as a shooter. he's a pretty big dude, that can play on the ball as point guard. So it'll be interesting to see with him too. Kind of, even though he's a junior, this is really kind of his second year. Getting some significant minutes. So yeah, I have no gripes with him at 6. I honestly, if there was a team to 6 through 10 to replace St. John's, like we were talking about earlier, I would probably gone with Duke. I know they're right there at 6, but um, they're going to be good. And to Josh's point, playing in the ACC, like I don't have a whole lot of reason to believe anybody else is going to take at least the regular season title away from them. I just think their floor is super high, and they should be able to run through conference play in the ACC for the most part.
Yeah, agree completely.
Uh,
Yeah, Auburn faithful know who Isaiah Evans is. That guy went
Man,
7 for 8 for threes against us and never scored more
all
than
in the first
a point
half,
the
right?
rest of the year. Yeah, I mean, that guy's a flamethrower from beyond the arc, to put it
Yeah,
lightly.
that was crazy.
All right, so we'll roll into 11 through 15. At 11, we got Louisville, 12 UCLA, 13 Arizona, 14 Arkansas, and 15 Bama. We've talked a lot about Louisville. I like them at 11. I do. They lost a lot of guard production again from last year, but they brought in a lot of talent as well. UCLA at 12. I mean, Donovan Dent is, I know the participants of this
Dog.
podcast are big Donovan Dent fans. I mean, that guy can play. Mick Cronin runs a guard-driven offense. I think he will fit in nicely there. If we can get Mick Cronin okay with the midweek long flights, I think that
Yeah.
UCLA team could be dangerous. I'll call out and say Arizona at 13. I don't know a whole lot about this Arizona team other than Bryce James. They lost Carter Bryant, who was very good for them. On paper, I'm saying they're a little low for me.
Yeah, I mean, so the big thing I know about them is Koa Pete, their big time
Yeah.
freshman coming
Yeah,
in. He's
yeah,
supposed to be really good.
yeah.
Sounds like he's going to be having an instant impact. But beyond that, I don't know too much about the team either. So don't really know if I can say if they're under overranked. Torvik does have them at 12, but it's still preseason projection, so we'll have to see it play out.
Yeah.
I was gonna say Evan Mia actually has him at 7.
Oh wow.
Holy cow.
So he's got him up there a little bit. Jaden Bradley is another name. He was one of the few names that I feel like I'm familiar with from years past watching this Arizona team. I think it looks like he averaged right around 12 points a game last year, playing a heavy dose of minutes, about 34 minutes. Um, but yeah, I'm kind of with you guys, like, and be the first to admit when I don't know a ton about a team, and I feel like Arizona is one of those that, um, yeah, outside of Koa Pete, Jaden Bradley, can't imagine. Maybe Bryce James will be a factor there, but I'm sure his pops will get as much or more camera time than he will at any of those games. We make a trip out there pretty early in the season. That'll be kind of a decent litmus test. I mean, we've got a bunch of tough non-con games, but we Auburn plays out there
Yeah, I'm
like
looking
early
at
December.
Arizona's schedule right now. They got a pretty tough one. I mean, they got Florida, UCLA, UConn, Auburn, Bama, San Diego State. It's not obviously it's a tough matchup, and that's all before the Big 12, which is going to be tough. So we'll kind of know what they are going into the Big 10 conference play because that's a pretty tough schedule up there with anyone in the country, I would say.
Yeah, that I
I
mean that,
feel like I feel like Tommy Lloyd's kind of been he's been doing that a lot. Like they've played some big time. Like they did a home and home with Duke. I know the last 2 years. I feel like they're not afraid to schedule some big time non-con games. But man, it just feels like the story from Sean Miller to Tommy Lloyd, like the story with them is always like uber talented. They ran through the Pac-12 a couple times, or there were a lot of years where it was just them in UCLA, and come March, man, they can't get it going for whatever reason. It feels like they get upset a ton. So, I mean, I think Tommy Lloyd's a good coach, but yeah, just like I don't know a ton about Arizona to be like this is why I think they should be where they're ranked. But yeah, Evan Mia's got them at 7. I was
what's
just
our thought on Arkansas at 14? Our checkered suit motherfucker Calipari. I mean, it seemed last year that Arkansas team was dead in the water. They got hot at the end of the season. made March Madness and then surprised a lot of folks with their run there at the end. Definitely getting Arkansas fans buying into what Cal's selling. I mean, you know that they're going to have a talented team again. I think we talked Darius Acuff, a good freshman coming in there. He's going
Yeah.
to play. Malik Thomas, I think, too, is another freshman going in
Mhm.
there. Those guys are instant impact players. DJ Wagner, I think he's still there, and he was the number
Yeah.
one overall player 2 years ago in his class.
Yeah. I never would have believed you if you told me DJ Wagner was going to be going into year three. I thought coming out of high school, he was a surefire one of him. And, was Justin Edwards, I think was the other recruit
Yeah, at
that Cal
Kentucky.
had
Yeah,
that last year
yeah,
at
yeah.
Kentucky, and they both kind of flopped. But um, yeah, man, I mean, it feels like the story every year with Cal teams, just uber talented, but it feels like, does it take some time for them to gel? Is it sort of a slower start? It feels like a lot of his teams kind of they begin to kind of gel together and hit their stride kind of middle of SEC play. Um, but I mean, they've got too much talent to not be a factor in the SEC, I think. I mean, yeah, Acuff, DJ Wagner, Carter Knox can play.
Nick Pringle.
Pringle coming
Coach,
over
yeah.
Yeah.
from South
Some.
Carolina.
It's a tough place to play too, and in college basketball, home
Mhm.
court advantage is huge. They're going to pull off a couple of big wins in front of their home fans, without a doubt.
Yeah. Guys, Pringle on his third SEC school in 3 years. He started at Bama,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then he almost beat us at South Carolina last year in that game that Broom went down in. But yeah, he's another good piece.
yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Every year it feels like these Cal teams could go a number of different directions with what they do, and they've got a couple. They play St. John's, right? Did we talk about that one
Yeah.
earlier? Like they've got some non-con games.
Duke.
Duke, yeah. Where's that game?
That is neutral site.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
So, Cal neutral sites
Yeah,
probably,
he won't play away.
yeah, somewhere down the road in Arkansas.
Yeah, no, I have strong opinions on Cal, especially with the scheduling. He's big, gigantic pussy when it came to playing IU, especially in Assembly Hall. He's the one who actually negotiated our new series with them, our 4-year game series, but he didn't let IU go to Rupp or he didn't let IU play Kentucky in Assembly Hall until the fourth year, which I think is 2028, and he knew by then he would be gone. So he's a scumbag. I'll root against him. I don't have much more to say about Arkansas.
Yeah. Well, that's a great transition into team number 15 when we're talking about grade A scumbag coaches. Number 15, we got your Alabama Crimson Tide. Now, you guys listening will hear a lot about hatred for Alabama from Hunter and I. Nate Oates, though, say what you want about him. He's my least favorite coach in the country, but he gets the job done when it matters the most.
He can coach.
Yeah, he can coach, he can recruit. 15, I actually think, their offseason was a little underwhelming, but just knowing their style of basketball, I think 15 is a perfect spot for them. Interested to see kind of how their guards play. We talked about Phylon. I mean, he's an NBA player. That guy picks you up full court. He can rebound, pass, score. He can do it all. Aiden Holloway, another one. He's fizzled out at Auburn. Blamed a lot of the Auburn coaching staff instead of taking accountability. Just seems like a perfect fit for a guy who's ended up on Nate Oates' staff. That was a shot at the murderer, Brandon Miller. But again, Bama at 15, it feels probably right, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see a ton of arguments with that. I mean, yeah, like we said, Phylon's going to be one of, if not the best offensive player in the SEC. Holloway, the only thing, like Holloway did have a little bit of a resurgence last year, but I'll be interested to see who's kind of running point duties for them, because I think that's what Aiden didn't have to do a ton of that last year with Mark Sears being there. He's a good shooter. Like let's not. But if he's the guy that's kind of running, facilitating their offense, I have some doubts about his ability to do that. But if it's Phylon, I don't see why they'd have a ton of issues there. Getting Latrell Wrightsell back too will be huge. He can
Huge.
shoot the lights out.
Yeah.
I feel like I saw something that he's like maybe not quite on track to be back before the beginning of the season. somebody
Gotcha.
fact check me on that, but um,
I
yeah,
mean,
I
they
mean
get
it's
to your point about Aiden playing well without the ball. I think I agree with you. I think stats and analytics will probably back you up on that, and I think that's kind of the reason too why they were so heavily invested in bringing in JJ Bethea from
yeah,
Miami, I believe.
Yeah,
Yeah. He's
that
a
was
he's a talented guard too, and he
y-
should take the ball out of Aiden's hands at least a little bit.
yeah, that's who I was going to bring up. I don't think he had the best year at Miami his freshman year, but he was, I think, a consensus top 10 recruit 2 years ago. So obviously guard heavy offense. It's a great system. They score points. But I know you guys don't like 2 minute, but it's very fun to watch. So should see if he flourishes in that.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, alrighty, I guess keep going. 16 through 20. At 16, we got Iowa State, 17, Illinois, 18, Tennessee, 19, Kansas, and 20, Auburn. So just off the rip, I mean, I have two teams here in this bubble that I think should be ranked lower. I think Tennessee is a very good team. Rick Barnes always has these guys playing well. Again, they've got a good mix of young talent with Ament, who I think might. I mean, he might win Freshman Player of the Year. I mean, he's got an uphill battle against Peterson, Boozer, and Diabonza, but he's very talented. I think Gillespie. I watched a couple of games him at Maryland. He can play. I think this Tennessee team is they've got a relatively high floor or a high ceiling, but a much higher floor than most of the teams that they're surrounded by. I think they're almost a lock for 24 plus wins, and to me, that's a fringe top 10 team, maybe in that 11 to 15 ranking. And then Kansas at 19. I think a lot of the problems with Kansas stemmed from their big man Hunter Dickinson and AJ Storr. I mean, they say what you want about them. Those guys don't appear to be winners. Very talented players on paper can put up a stat line, but they didn't necessarily win the big games when it mattered most. And I thought that held Kansas back a lot. And from what I've seen in the preseason, I know preseason games don't matter that much, but Darren Peterson appears to be every bit of a superstar. And Self has even talked about him, saying that he's one of the more talented first year recruits he's ever had. And I mean, a lot of talent has gone through that Kansas program.
Yeah. I mean, I'm with you. I've been thinking in my head about how much a loser AJ Storr is. He just like I don't even have a bias either way towards Kansas, but I just remember that guy like being highly touted transfer from Wisconsin. Feel like I just constantly was hearing things about him like on the bench or in the locker room, just being a problem. Where he's at Ole Miss now, is that right?
Yeah,
Oh, really? It's match made in
that
heaven if he is.
yeah, that
I think he's
fits
playing for Beard at
perfectly.
Ole Miss. But yeah, I don't. They brought in a pretty solid class. They actually there was a kid that Auburn was hard after, Seamus Calderon. Guy can shoot the basketball. He's kind of a bigger wing. I think he's like 6'8", 6'9". Um, Flory, can he take a step forward
Ooh,
in year
Flory.
two? I mean,
Yeah.
he's
We
got
all were invested in Flory at some point or time on this
Twice. We've
podcast.
each been
Yeah.
invested in twice.
yeah, yeah. I mean, he's about as athletic as they come. I think he's still got some room to grow in terms of just like fluidity with the ball. But a little bit undersized too, I think, for to be like a true center, but he could jump out of the gym, he could block shots, grab rebounds. So but it does like just looking at their roster, man, like it feels like Darren Peterson's show. If like they're gonna go as he goes. So it'll be interesting. Kansas has had 2 years now where they have been decently below what they deem to be the standard for Kansas basketball. So this will be interesting with a kid like Peterson coming in, to see what they do. Josh, I feel like you can give us a good rundown on Illinois and all their
Yeah.
Vitches.
Yeah.
Half their starting lineup ends in their last names end in Vitch. But I know Big Z is one that came up from Kentucky to Arkansas to now Illinois. They've got
His brother as well.
Stojakovic's kid from Stanford.
Stanford and Cal. I think he played for both.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Um, yeah, there are two Isaviches or Ivasic's.
Yeah.
Don't count
Can
don't
I get
count
on
on
a
me to get
soap?
that right.
I get on a soapbox real quick. It's
Please.
absurd.
For sure, brother.
It's not just Illinois. It's all across college basketball. And I don't blame Illinois for being the ones that take advantage of it. But I mean, we're bringing in. Obviously, they're not the leagues that they're playing in. They're not as good as the NBA. Obviously, not as good as like the top leagues. Probably not as good as college basketball, if I'm being honest. But you're still bringing in pros to an amateur, quote unquote, amateur sport. It's not amateur anymore, obviously, and I'm fine with that. But I don't know. I just saw that Oregon I think in 2 weeks ago, maybe in October, maybe in September, just signed someone, a 21-year-old from the CBA in China. Like these are professional basketball players being brought in to play college basketball. Then you had the G League news that's come out recently where
That's crazy.
Yeah,
like
it's
That's
absolutely
crazy.
nuts.
so I don't know.
I
All that
mean,
being said, Illinois I think is gonna be good. I think they're gonna be a top 15 team all year. It's hard not to be when you have that much experience. I guess it just kind of comes down to can you gel well with all these new teammates coming in? But that's college basketball. I mean, so many teams have brand new players. You saw Louisville and Michigan do that. Both made it to Sweet Six, or no, not Louisville, but Michigan made the Sweet 16 last year with a brand new roster. Louisville had a great year. So I think they're gonna be good. I don't like it. I don't like Brad Underwood. I don't like Illinois, but unfortunately, I think they're gonna be a pretty solid team.
yeah, no, no gripes there. I feel like they are. Yeah, they've kind of just become one of those teams that they're a top 15 to 20 stalwart. They're not gonna blow anybody away. Who did they? I know they got. I feel like they had some really good momentum last year, and then they got the doors blown off them by Duke.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
can't remember who if they had like a big win, like kind of close to like right before that game, because that was
That was like a
uh,
February game.
it
It
was
was like
weird.
the
Yeah,
middle, middle of the
it
Big Ten
wasn't
season.
it wasn't a part of any like challenge or anything. They just played a random like Saturday night non-con game in like February,
Yeah.
um, and Duke
Yeah.
just beat the piss out of them. Just keeping it going. Like Iowa State, like it feels like I pulled up their roster and it's like it feels very much like the same team again. Like Tamin Lipsey's back. What's his name?
They got killed with injuries
Uh,
too last year. Like they were very good. At the beginning of the
yeah,
year, they gave Auburn hell. And Auburn started off the year very hot. We were playing good basketball early, and Iowa State took it to us in the Maui tournament. I mean, they had a talented team until they had to deal with some injuries.
Yeah. Otts is a great coach. They always play tough. You know it's going to be a dogfight whenever you're playing Iowa State. I agree. They're a team to watch this
yeah.
year.
They're gonna
Yeah.
play. They're gonna play good defense no matter what. Yeah, like Tamin Lipsey's back. Milan M- Mom Silovich. I feel like I've seen his name for a while. Joshua Jefferson has been there for a few years, so they've got some experience. Tamin Lipsey obviously can play, but
Gilbert
you
gone.
lose Keyshawn Gilbert and Curtis Jones are obviously two massive pieces that they lose.
Yeah.
Just feel like the ceiling's always kind of limited with them. Like they're gonna D you up, but like the offensive ceiling just kind of always feels like it's a little bit limited. Um, P, do we
Yeah,
want
we
to
don't we can go
address
into our individual
address
teams.
the elephant in the room, or do we want to
We
do that later?
we can do that a little later, I think. But just as far as rankings go, at 20, kind of where do you feel that we're at? I mean, on paper, I'm looking. We obviously lose the elephant in the room, Bruce Pearl transitioning to Stephen Pearl. You don't know exactly what dynamic shift that like occurs within a team as far as wins and losses go with that. Also, I mean, you lose a lot of production. You've got Kelly
A
and
lot.
Cardwell surprising me. They're both on NBA rosters. And then you've got obviously Janai Broom. He's out of there. I mean, you lost a lot of production.
Yeah, he was pretty good.
Yeah, so at 20, I think the ceiling's there. I mean,
No gripes.
you bring
I
in Keyshawn Hall, you bring in Overton from Texas Tech. That place seems to print hardworking guards. I feel good about Tahad Pettiford coming back. I know at times he wasn't the most efficient player and seemed to, go away, but the big moments, I mean, they were giving the ball to him over Broom a lot of the time, and he was coming up in the clutch most of the season. So I'm looking for him to take a big step forward. I like being 20. I think there's room for us to improve. Again, we can talk about a little bit later. I do say I think this is more a Sweet 16 team. Um, Nothing that's blowing you away on paper, but it'll be interesting to
Yeah.
see them gel as the season goes on.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with where we're ranked. I think there's a ton of unknowns. I mean, you lose a guy. Well, one, I mean, you lose a legendary head coach and a coach that, in my opinion, should be in the college basketball Hall of Fame one day. You lose a guy that was right there for National Player of the Year. You lose three or four senior guards and Miles Kelly, Denver Jones, like just all the production in the world. And like the show does kind of have to run through Pettiford this year. And he's the only scholarship player returning. So there's a ton, I think Keyshawn Hall is a really dynamic scorer. I think he can do a lot with the ball in his hands. I'm a little worried about shooting. Like I'm curious where some of the outside shooting is going to come from aside from Tahad. But we've got a handful of like D2 JUCO guys that we just don't know a lot about. Like we've seen them in one scrimmage and they looked, a few of them looked pretty good, but yeah, without going too much into it, because we could obviously do this for hours. I have no problem with where we're ranked. I think there's more unknowns than knowns at this point. I think I think the ceiling's high to be able to do some good stuff, but I also think the floor is a lot lower than it's been in probably a couple of years because you had that roster was brewing with Broom and Denver Jones and Chad Baker Mazara, like that was kind of building up for a few years. It felt like, and kind of culminated in what last season ended up being. But I'm good at 20.
Yeah.
Yeah, well said. We can dive into the specifics more in a bit. I guess the only thing I would add is the only question mark, not roster side, is going to be the Sun. Can he take over and kind of not only keep the on the field or on the court momentum going, but the recruiting momentum? Because that was, I mean, Bruce was getting 5 stars regularly on campus to Auburn. It'll be interesting to see if that continues, but we could talk more about Auburn in a bit.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right,
No, I agree.
that takes us to 21 through 25. And at 21, we got Gonzaga. 22, we got Izzo's Spartans. 23, Creighton. 24, Wisconsin. And I just feel like a pity vote at 25. You got to have UNC ranked to start the season.
Man, just going off logo power. That's a feisty 21 through 25. There's some big time programs that are sitting in there. Um,
I mean, Gonzaga, again, not a team I know that much about. Graham Ike's. I mean, he's been there, I feel like, for a while. He's pretty good.
yeah, one thing on Gonzaga too, man. I'm looking. Let me check. I can't find them. Anyway, what I was saying, number 8 in Ken Palm and number 10 on Evan Mia. I was trying to find them on Torvik and I was scanning. Where are they on Torvik? No, like,
24. So, and what are they ranking
okay,
eight people?
24, yeah,
21.
21.
21, yeah. So, but yeah, man, 8th in Ken Palm. That's higher than I would have guessed.
Analytics love Fuse teams. Yeah, I mean, I think he met with Evan Maya, and that's how he runs his practices.
Yeah, I mean, like you guys said, I don't know too much about Gonzaga this year. But as long as Mark Fee is the coach there, they're going to be, top 4 seed, almost guaranteed. So
Yeah.
be interesting to watch that play out.
Then Josh, I'll kind of pass the buck to you here for these next couple of teams. I mean, Michigan State and Wisconsin. Um, from what I know, again, Izzo, January, February, Izzo. Last year, talented team. I feel like holistically, the last 5 or 6 years have been kind of down for Izzo Spartans. Maybe not that long, maybe like 3 or 4 years. But last year, they seemed to have a breakthrough year. You have anything to add about Izzo's team this year?
Yeah, I mean, Izzo is a great coach. I'm not sure about the whole March thing, at least recently. But he's a great coach, though. I do think Michigan State and Wisconsin, they're both in the kind of second tier of the Big Ten, first being Purdue, UCLA, Michigan, and Illinois. I would put that kind of the class of the Big Ten. And then Michigan State, Wisconsin, Oregon, maybe Iowa, the second tier. But yeah, Michigan State, they got a lot of guys coming back. That's one thing Izzo does well is he kind of retains players, at least the players that he wants to retain. Jeremy Fears, junior year. He was a stud last year, kind of a breakout year for him. He's an attacking guard. He'll get to the rim. He can work on a shot. That was a big problem last year was a 3-point shot. And that's kind of been an Izzo plague is that they play so tough on defense. They guard you. They'll dive in for loose balls, but they can't seem to make the big shot when it really matters. So that'll be kind of interesting to watch play out. Cohen Carr back for his junior year, maybe the most athletic guy in college basketball, can jump out of the
Yep.
gym, but can they
Yeah.
continue to develop those skills? So I think there's a lot of question marks with them, but they also do have some experience coming back. So they're going to be a tough out week in and week out. So kind of a typical, I think, Michigan State team as of late for Tom Izzo this year.
To that note, man, like I'm just looking like the Big Ten's gonna be fun. Like I know
Yeah.
Purdue's kind of the presumed preseason favorite, and like would it shock me if they won the regular season? No. But man, just like going down, I mean, we talked about Illinois. Obviously, Josh, we're gonna get into Indiana some and some of the new firepower that they brought in. Bennett Sturts at Iowa, Michigan hit the portal hard. Like USC's a little bit interesting with Rodney Rice, CBM, Gilbert Arenas kid coming in. Um, there's just so, I mean, UCLA. We talked a little bit about Oregon, and they've got some experienced guys coming back. Like Big Ten's gonna be a lot of fun this year.
Yeah,
So a lot of people are. I mean, Bruce Thornton at Ohio State's probably one of the better players in the country. I know the analytics love him. He's like one of the top 5 or 6 players that Evan Mia has in terms of his BPR rating. Um, it's gonna be a fun season, the Big Ten, and like I said, I just there's something about Purdue for me where I'm just like I know they're going to be a really good regular season team, but like they're bringing back a fairly similar roster to last year.
got the big three back. I mean, at the
Yeah,
end of
I
the day, it's
mean, and
Purdue. It's what they do. They win regular season games. They play awesome offense, great defense. Mackey's one of the toughest places to play in the country. But at the end of the day, in the tournament, they just always seem to fall apart.
Yeah.
I mean, Zach Edey had arguably one of the best college basketball years in the past 20, 25 years, maybe all time if you want to go
I
to
mean,
that
you could argue
hyperbole.
2 of his years are top
Yeah,
top 10 all
yeah,
time.
you could. And they still couldn't win it all. So I don't know. Purdue's Purdue. We can talk about them when we get into Big Ten picks. But yeah, to your point, Hunter, about the Big Ten, just generally speaking, I mean, it's typically a big man league and big man dominant, and I think it still is. But you can make an argument that the 3 or 4 best guards in the country all are in the Big Ten. I mean, Braden Smith, I think, in my opinion, he's my choice for player of the year, unfortunately. Then you got Serge at Iowa, Donovan Dent, Bruce Thornton, like you mentioned. Those
yeah.
4 guys are up there with, I put those guys up there with any guards in the country. So it'll be interesting to watch the Big Ten this year. Maybe a little bit different style of play. But at the end of the day, it's still the Big Ten. Refs aren't going to call anything. They're going to throw to the paint. And, you
Let him
know,
play volleyball.
yeah, nothing like a Thursday night at 11 o'clock in UCLA. Classic Big Ten
Yeah,
matchup.
right. Yeah.
So we did a little Big Ten breakdown there, but 23 to 25, Creighton, Wisconsin, UNC. It was kind of crazy. I think it's a good way to kind of like ease our way into talking about Wisconsin. Is we just rattled off 5 to 10 minutes of Big Ten talk and how good these Big Ten teams are. We mentioned Wisconsin. We didn't mention anyone on Wisconsin or what made them good. I don't know anything about them personally. Are they bringing back a lot of players? I mean, this team seemed to catch fire. They started hot last year and kind of caught people off guard and then regressed a little bit to the mean. I know they lost Tanji, and I mean, he was borderline first team All American. He could score the ball. Do we like them at 24? I don't know enough about them. They're kind of in that boat for me with Gonzaga and Arizona as teams that play a tough schedule, tough conference, but I don't know anything about them.
Yeah, Torvik has him at 30, so maybe a little bit overranked. John Blackwell's gonna probably be their go-to guy this year. It's his 3rd year at Wisconsin. He's a pretty good guard, can score the ball in a lot of different ways. Nolan Winter, another big man they're bringing back. He's a junior. So they're definitely bringing some guys back. Great guards, great coach. Wisconsin is a nightmare place to play at. IU hasn't won there in like 25, 30 years. But I
Really?
don't. Yeah, it's bad.
That's
I think
crazy.
since like 1994, maybe. Granted, we don't play there every year, but
Yeah.
That's
it's an
that's
unbelievable streak.
yeah, yeah,
It's
that's
hard to
insane.
believe. But yeah, I don't think they're going to be competing for Big Ten title, but I could see them falling in that 4 to 6 range, maybe like a 6 or 7 seed in the tournament. Kind of depends how all those parts gel in together. I don't know how hard they hit the transfer portal this year. I'm sure they got some guys you kind of have to, but there's
Yeah.
no one that I can think of off the top of my head that really stands out. going Porter to Wisconsin. So I guess
Yeah.
we'll just have to see that play out.
Anything on Creighton? I mean, McDermott's a great coach. He's got a bunch of, I mean, for lack of a better words, tall white guys who can shoot the three. I mean, they score a lot. They usually struggle to defend a little bit, which eats them up a little bit in March. But they gave Auburn a scare this year when they came out white hot. I think they're going to win a lot of games. I know they lost their guard, who has had like a 4-year-old kid last year, so I'm assuming he aged out of eligibility. Um,
Pop Isaacs went to A&M. That's
oh
gonna be
yeah.
we'll maybe talk about that.
They
They landed Owen Freeman from Iowa. Peyton, you remember he was that center
Oh
from Iowa
yeah,
that
yeah.
Auburn wanted out
Uh,
of the portal.
Kalkbrenner
Yeah,
2.0.
Yeah, they got him and Josh Dix from Iowa, so a pair of Iowa
yeah.
teammates. Owen Freeman famously co-Big Ten freshman year with McKenzie and Baco 2 years ago. Who could forget that duo? But yeah, I don't know much about Creighton, honestly. I know Josh Dix, Owen Freeman. They played together. They had that familiarity. Both good players, can shoot
It
the
feels
ball.
like a seamless program transition from Iowa to Creighton.
Yeah,
They
well,
like to do a lot of
culturally,
that.
yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It'll Hudson Greer, freshman, he's coming in. I think he was ranked in the mid like 50s to 70s. Maybe a little bit higher. I'm not sure. I remember seeing his name in some of the recruiting circles. So they'll be interesting to see play out. Big East isn't as deep as some of the other conferences, I think. So they could be
Agree.
falling into 3 to 4 spot. I think they're kind of in that second tier behind UConn and St. John's. But yeah, you never know. McDermott's a great coach, so they'll be ready to go come March.
And then UNC at 25. I mean, again, I kind of said it earlier when I was going through these rankings. I feel like big program, the AP poll just jumps at throwing them in the rankings, especially with their difficult schedule. Allows get some viewers, move the ratings a little bit. But to me, this UNC team, they've got Caleb Wilson from Atlanta. I think he's very talented, but outside of that, I've been pretty underwhelmed with their success the last couple of years, or the last 2 years, I guess. I'm out on UNC. This is not a super hot take as they're ranked
I'm out on
25,
I'm out
but
on Hubert. I think
yeah,
Hmm.
I
I
think
agree.
this is make or break year for Hubert Davis.
completely agree. Yeah, so probably not a hot take as they're ranked 25, but if there was a team that I don't agree with being in the rankings at all, it's this UNC team.
Yeah, I don't hate that take. Seth Trimble, senior, been at UNC his whole career, so he's coming back. They got that experience and that continuity. But besides that, Caleb Wilson is going to probably be their go-to guy. Yeah, I don't disagree that it might be kind of a name brand bias thing, but
Yeah, they
I
also
mean,
added that trying to it's either like Kyan or Keon Evans. I think he's from like Colorado State or something. I kind of remember him from tournament last year. Um, yeah. Keon, it's Kyan. We'll say Keon Evans. Shot 44% from three last year at Colorado State. Um, so who knows? Could be he's a junior, so he's played some basketball. Could be a little bit of a spark for a team that really has just not had much of one on offense the last few years. I mean, like we talked about, both Ian Jackson and Elliot Cadeau earlier, who transferred out. The two of them and Trimble, just like very inconsistent, not a very high ceiling. I feel like Trimble honestly was probably the highest ceiling guy in my opinion of those three. I feel like he had some games where he did kind of go off and take over, but just a lot of inconsistency from UNC as a whole, but especially their guards.
Big, yeah, that's a great point. I mean, big games are won in college basketball by good guard play, being able to shoot the rocks, space the floor. I
For
feel
sure.
like since Hubert's got there, even though Caleb Love went on that legendary run, you've got a remarkably inefficient guard who struggles to shoot the ball with him. Then you go to Ian Jackson and Cadeau, who are both great athletic guards, also struggling to shoot the ball. It seems to be a common theme, and we're heading into this year not knowing really what their guard play is going to be like. Again, it kind of seems like the same story over and over with this UNC team.
Yeah. I forgot they added Jaron Stevenson from Bama.
Oh,
He'll
he can
be
shoot
he
it
could
a
be
little bit. He's
yeah,
every
he
bit
can
of
stretch
7
it.
foot.
He can stretch it a little bit. Yeah, he's a big dude. There were times when I would watch Bama last year where I felt like he should have played a lot more than he did. Um, but they wanted to roll with Gene Ellie. So who knows? Could be an interesting piece. But yeah, nothing. nothing about this North Carolina team that really excites me. But I get why you throw them in the rankings. I think they play Kansas like the first Thursday or Friday of the season. Put a
Mhm.
little number by both teams.
Yeah.
Um,
100%.
but yeah,
All right, so that kind of
um,
knocks out our preseason rankings. I mean, we can dive into our respective teams and then maybe talk about some betting futures and some hot takes that we have for this upcoming season. But I guess without further ado, Josh, you want to kick us off maybe with in-depth dive into this year's Indiana Hoosiers?
Yeah, no, definitely an exciting year coming up. And cut me off, ask me any questions, let me know if I'm going on because I could talk about Indiana Hoosiers basketball all day. But yeah,
sure.
coming the season, t pretty consensus. Torvik 41, Ken Palm 40, Evan Maya has us at 42, and I think we got one 25th place vote in the AP poll, which we did not deserve. So that gave us the least amount of votes receiving. So AP poll also had us at 40, technically, if you go off votes receiving. So pretty consistent consensus there. Being a fringe top 40 team. And I think that's fair. I mean, we have no one coming back. We have brand new players everywhere. Only one true, well, we have two international freshmen coming in. Neither of them will make much of an impact this year. One of them is hurt, so I don't really expect him to see much playing time. Even if he wasn't hurt, he was kind of going to be a depth piece. But our true freshman we got, Trent Sisley. He's a local Indiana kid, grew up Hoosier fan. Actually went to Montverde for his senior year. Um, was the MVP of the team at Montverde, and he committed to Mike Woodson, showing he was always going to come to IU. Kind of knew the situation when he committed, and was just wanted to be a Hoosier. So we're excited about him. Probably going to be a 4-year guy. Won't even sniff the portal. Beyond that, I'm starting five. Uh, so we have one guy who is hurt, Nick Dorn. He could be competing for a starting position when he's healthy, but to start the year, it's going to be Connor Enright, who is a transfer guard. He's coming in from DePaul. He was with DeVries at Drake, so he's familiar with the system. Um, Last year, he played 23 games last year, had a small injury, but he had a 37.5% assist rate, which was the sixth highest in high major basketball. So he's not a square first guy at all. He's a distributor. He's what we wanted Gabe Cubs to be. He's gets in the opponents like get in their head a bit, take a charge, gritty guy, dive on the floor if you get my gist. Then we got Peyton Con.
Brings his hard hat in his lunch pail.
Yeah,
Yeah.
first to the gym, last to leave, that kind of guy.
Yep. Yeah.
Then we got Tayden Conway. He's also a true guard. He's an attacker. Going to be our best defender, at least obviously our best perimeter defender coming in from Troy. I think he played at a junior college for a year or two before he was at Troy. Sun Belt Player of the Year last year. Inconsistent shooter, but he's going to be distributing the ball and getting to the rim. So we don't really need him to shoot that much with the next guys I'm about to mention, Lamar Wilkerson.
Ooh,
He's a big
that
transfer.
Sniper.
Yeah,
yeah.
unlimited range,
Sniper.
parking lot range, coming in from
Yeah.
Sam Houston State. He was, besides Tucker DeVries, he was kind of the prize of our transfer class. It'll be interesting to see how he translates to Big Ten basketball, how he deals with the physicality.
Talk about his character here for a second,
I would
Josh. I
love
mean,
to.
he was a guy that had Auburn in his top list, so Hunter and I definitely followed him statistically, at least at the bare minimum, for a little bit. Saw a couple of offseason quotes with how he plans on using his NIL funds that he's getting from Indiana, and I think again, I kind of hit on it earlier. Today's day and age with AAU basketball and these kids getting paid so much money, it's really refreshing for college basketball lovers to kind of hear what Lamar decided to do with his NIL.
Yeah, it was. I think it came out in an interview with our friend Jeff Goodman. I have my opinions on Jeff Goodman. He wasn't a big Woody guy, but he was at Assembly Hall, so we appreciate him giving us that Indiana content. But he basically he didn't even really bring it up on his own. He kind of outed, if you want to say it like that, Lamar, saying that he donated six figures back to Sam Houston State. I assume it was to their NIL fund. Maybe it was for facilities. I'm not entirely sure where that money went. But those are the kind of guys you want to have on your team who appreciate where they came from, don't just see your school as a stepping stone, and are willing to get back. So definitely a high character guy, definitely a guy we expect to shoot the ball a lot, be a focal point of our offense. Definitely someone I'm excited to see play in the Cream and Crimson. Rounding out the top five or the starting five, we got Tucker DeVries, obviously coach's kid, so he's been with Darren the entire steps of the way at Drake and then at West Virginia. Got hurt after 8 games at West Virginia last year, but when he wasn't hurt, shot 47% from three. he's kind of going to be the alpha of our team, the go-to guy. He's a senior, so got a lot of experience. Obviously, his dad trusts him, leader of the team. I'm really excited to see him play. He's kind of a guy that the Hoosiers have been missing. Someone who's not afraid of the moment, afraid to go get it, and can do it. We had Trace Jackson Davis, obviously, who was like that, but he couldn't shoot.
Stud. Yeah.
So I'm excited to have that in the shooting form. And then rounding out the top five in the starting five, Reed Bailey, transfer from Davidson.
Yep, I remember him.
Yeah, he's a smaller big man. I think he's listed at 6'10". Not sure if he's that big, but he's actually going to be our biggest player. I think he's the biggest guy on the roster. Maybe one of the international guys we got is bigger, but biggest guy that's going to be getting him significant minutes. Early reports from practice have been that he is not afraid to get the rebound and dribble the ball down the court and facilitate, which is something that is exciting. I think Darren DeVries wants to play fast, so having your big man being able to dribble and pass the ball is something that we've kind of been missing. Malik Renew cannot do that. Trey started to do it a little bit of senior year, but Cleo Well cannot do that either. So I'm excited to have a big man that can dribble and can kind of run the offense as a big point if he needs to. Just overall expectations on the team. I think we're going to shoot a lot, obviously a lot more in the past 8 years, which has been abysmal to watch. I think we're going to shoot early in the shot clock. DeVries comes from Doug McDermott, where that whole system is get your shots off early. I think in practice, I think DeVries said in practice when they were at Creighton, they use like a 14-second shot clock or something. So I think we're going to be getting a lot of shots off early and often, which is going to be refreshing. We're going to be playing a lot of fun basketball, which we haven't done much of the past 8 years. I don't know how good it's going to be. I think there's going to be a lot of games where our shooting goes dry and we aren't really competitive, but I also think there's going to be a lot of games where we can get hot and, really knock off some good teams. So that's kind of my overall thoughts on the team. I think might be a bit learning curve. Like I said, 13 new guys coming in together, haven't played a second of basketball together until this summer. So we did knock off Baylor today in a scrimmage, which was a good sign. I think we won 78-76. So doesn't mean much, but good to see.
Give us a measurable comment. Where's the ceiling? Where's the floor for this year's Hoosiers team?
Floor's definitely missing the tournament. I could see that happening. I I think 8-12 in the Big Ten might be the floor. Maybe 7-13. That'd be a disappointing season. Ceiling I think is I want to say the Sweet 16. I don't know if that's true. I'll say very best ceiling is going to be the Sweet 16. You kind of saw that was the ceiling for a lot of these teams that came together in one year last year with Kentucky, Michigan, Louisville. I don't think any of those guys made it past the Sweet 16. And I don't know if we're as talented as those guys were last year. So I think Sweet 16 is attainable, but
You
really, I
guys
just
got
want
the
to see us.
shooting, man.
Yeah, exactly. I just want
I
to see us
mean,
play tough, play exciting basketball, which we haven't done in 8 years. So that's really what I'm looking for.
yeah. No, I look at that lineup and you see DeVries, Wilkerson, Reed Bailey. I just looked because I was like, he's a pretty good shooter, right? And I look, he's
Hmm.
42% from three. I'd add a decent volume. So you got three guys that are 42% plus from three that have like they've shot a lot. Like they're not just, going 5 for 11, on a season. Like these guys shoot the basketball a lot and they shoot it well. So that's definitely exciting, and that's definitely a recipe to your point to kind of get hot and maybe knock somebody off, or get some momentum.
Yeah, I think biggest things that'll hold us back will be our defense in the paint and perimeter, but really in the paint, we don't have much size as well as our rebounding. We kind of talked about the Big Ten, the style of play. You want to be able to have rebounding. You want to be able to play defense in the paint. It might be changing a bit this year, but at the end of the day, those two things do win in the Big Ten. So I think that's what's gonna hold us back from being one of the top teams in the Big Ten. But I'm excited, man. It's been a long time since we've had a roster this talented shooting wise, probably going back to the 2013 years with, you know, Oladipo, Zeller, all those guys. So it's a fun time to be a Hoosier.
One surface level call out I have, and just from being friends with you, Josh, you've kind of walked me through this over the last couple of years. Being a rival to Purdue, winning the in-state recruiting battle versus Purdue in Indiana, I feel like, again, for very surface level commentary, the coaching style, offensive style that you play it is or supposed to play this year and going forward is a little more, shot 3-point shot centric, playing a little faster. I feel like that how do I say this, plays more to the type of recruits that you get out of the state of Indiana, who sometimes more likely than not have gone to Purdue. I'm excited to see how Indiana plays. And if this coach is a fit, I think you truly can make a big dent into what Painter's been able to do with in-state recruiting at Purdue.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. You touched on it, but the shooting talent in the state of Indiana is pretty nuts. We always used to especially when Archie Miller was our coach, we could not shoot free throws to save our life, and we always used to joke that you could pull any random five guys out of the rec center at IU and they could shoot better than our team could. Like it's the shooting struggles that Indiana University has had since I've been a fan are pretty astonishing. But yeah, I agree. We got first step is recruiting is winning the state. Bobby Knight did that, obviously. Different day and age, long time ago, but you got to get the state back. It was exciting to see Trent Sisley come. We missed out on, we didn't even touch on him when we talked about UConn. Braylon Mullins, five-star at UConn, coming out of Indiana, Greenfield Central High School, was an IU fan growing up. Woody reports saying Woody didn't really recruit him properly, didn't end up at IU, ended up at UConn. So that's got to change. You got to win your state, especially if you want to compete with Painter because Painter does well in state and he plays to a style that's appealing to in-state and it really appeals to like Indiana basketball culture. And there's a big culture around high school basketball in Indiana, and you got to make those connections with those coaches. You got to play in the style that represents the state well. So hopefully we can do that going forward.
More or less cushion height from your new coach, from Mike Woodson to.
Well, I think a lot less. Hopefully, no cushion. Hopefully DeVries will be standing up a lot more instead of sitting down. But yeah, no, that was we could have a whole podcast on Woody. But yeah, that's funny.
In 49 other states, it's just basketball.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's obviously a new era of Auburn basketball. Bruce Pearl retires a little over a month ago. Stephen Pearl stepping in. Um, they've got a really good staff, and it's a staff that's been with BP from the time he got to Auburn. He built it with all these guys, and I think that gives me some more confidence and comfortability with Stephen taking the reins. But he's not his dad, and obviously Bruce Pearl built Auburn into what they've been able to do on the basketball court over the last few years and just being consistent. I think they're still one of the winningest teams in the SEC over the last 5 to 7 years. Obviously, two Final Fours. But it's a new era and it's an exciting one. I think Peyton, we both expected Steven to be the guy whenever that day came when BP stepped down. But the other big piece of that being we talked about it a little bit earlier, you're losing a guy that some dubbed as National Player of the Year in Janai Broom. You're losing a couple of senior guards in Denver Jones, Miles Kelly, senior citizen guard, and Chad Baker Mazzara, who's moved on to USC.
Don't forget JJ Pegues drafted in the second round of the G League draft yesterday.
Saw that. Yeah. Yeah. Good for JJ, man, or JP. But yeah, I mean, obviously, like you losing a great coach and you're losing a shitload of production from a really, really good basketball team last year. And it really, in my eyes, it's Todd Pettiford's show now. Like he's got to be the guy that Auburn can go to. Unfortunately, he's had exposure to a lot of big moments. You hinted at it earlier. Want to see a little bit more consistency with him. I know he was a freshman, and he made some fresh mistakes with, some questionable shot choices, turning the ball over. And the other thing too with Tahad is how does he play and how does he look on a roster where he is the primary guy on the scouting report? Like, I think it's a lot easier to kind of go and do your thing when you've got Janai Broom on the floor, you've got Miles Kelly on the floor. Like, it's going to be really different for him, kind of being the guy and being the leader now, both on and off the court. But ultimately, Keyshawn Hall's another really good piece, led the Big 12 in scoring last year.
Big 12's no
right
slouch
around.
of a conference either.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, that was a god awful UCF team. Keyshawn can score it. He can score at all three levels. He can grab boards for kind of a wing undersized four. Keshawn Murphy, he might have a torn ACL. He might have just bruised his knee. We don't really know because we haven't heard anything after he went down in the scrimmage against Oklahoma State. Now, is that not this past week before on Wednesday? Literally no word on him yet. So he's gonna be another big piece. He was a solid contributor at Mississippi State. I think the thing that I'm seeing and hearing, and it showed a little bit in the scrimmage, is how does this team gel defensively? I think we know we've got some guys that can score the basketball. We've got some athletes. Um, Interior defense is a big concern for me. I think you lose Janai Broom, Dylan Cardwell, Chaney Johnson, and now with the question mark around Kashawn Murphy, like what does that look like? Sebastian Williams Adams is a freshman,
He looked
four-star
great
freshman,
in
looked
our scrimmage
really
game. Yeah.
really solid. He's more athletic than I thought he was, and he's 6'8", so he's a little undersized to play the five, but he's got a massive wingspan, um, and looked really comfortable out there for being a true freshman. Filip Jovic is another one. He's coming over from Serbia. Actually played for the same club team or whatever that Nikola Jokic used to play for. Uh, don't I don't know what to make of him, honestly. Like I
He's
think he's
22, freshman.
he's 22-year-old true freshman. To Josh, I kind of hid behind my hat earlier when Josh was going on his soapbox about the international pros coming over, but um, seems to have a really fluid jumper. I think it's going to take him some time to adjust to one, just American basketball. It's a very different style of basketball played overseas than it is here. Um, I think it's going to take him some time to really adjust and kind of find his footing. Um, you mentioned Kevin Overton, Peyton. He's going to be someone that's going to have to play and play a lot. Um, really good athlete, good defender. He's probably going to be the guy that we're throwing on, a Phylon or um, Otego or some of these top guards in the conference. He's going to be kind of be that Denver Jones on the defensive end from last year, but um, just a lot of unknowns. You've got Bashir, Elijah Freeman, some JUCO guys that are coming in with really high ceilings. Showed a lot of ability to score the ball, but can they adjust? Elijah Freeman looked really good in the Oklahoma State scrimmage. Looked really comfortable. He's a hell of an athlete. He can jump out of the gym, so feel good about him. But yeah, the and I've told Peyton this a million times, but the interior defense is really what worries me, especially being spoiled for years with Broom and Cardwell and all those guys. I think we're gonna get our points. We might win some games the way Bama has or Kentucky has the last few years in the high 90s shootout type games, because I think it's going to take us some time to gel defensively. But again, it feels a little volatile, high ceiling, low floor. I would probably, I hate to say, but we've got a floor of missing the tournament. I think
I
just with
completely agree
with
with you.
a brand new roster, Stephen Pearl coming in, like I do love that the staff is staying intact, but I do think there's a floor of missing the tournament with the team. Um, I want to say they've got an Elite Eight ceiling, but I just don't know, man. I think it's probably closer to Sweet 16. Um, and maybe mainly because of depth. I just think the depth is a little bit questionable. Um, I just, if Tahad can't get it going, you've got him and Keyshawn Hall. Past that, I mean, Kashawn Murphy's a decent shooter. I think shooting concerns me a little bit. Um, I don't think I'm ready to say this team can get to the Elite Eight at their best. I hope I'm wrong, obviously, but I would probably cap the ceiling around the Sweet 16 second weekend.
I agree with you completely on your miss the tournament floor, Sweet 16 ceiling. The one thing that I'm gonna talk about this Auburn team, and again, preseason games don't matter that much, and the guys are still working on gelling, but it was prevalent in the preseason game. Um, I'm worried about this offense when we're running like stagnant offense. This is a team that has to get in transition to win games and score the ball. You've got guys that are super athletic, 1 through 5, who can run the floor. I think that could be one thing that maybe you could say that was a negative against the past Auburn teams when they didn't have many negatives. Broom and Cardwell, I mean, great bigs, but sometimes tough to get those guys fully going in transition. This team, if they're gonna,
Broom had cinder blocks for feet,
oh my
dude.
god,
That guy was not that guy wasn't running anywhere. He was
if
so
this
slow.
if this team's gonna be good, they're gonna have to run the floor. I get a little bit
I
worried
agree.
when the offense gets stationary. I think Pettiford is a great shot creator. You watch him; he moves a little like Harden. The way he can always get to his shot. What concerns me a little bit with Keyshawn Hall is for 6'8" uh, forward guard. I think his Instagram handle's Big Guard. Uh, he dribbles a lot, and so sometimes Pettiford does too to get your shot. When you got your two, arguably your only two surefires of where the offense is coming, you're running stationary offense, and they're both dribbling a lot to jack up a shot. That scares me a little bit. So
Yeah,
we'll kind of see there. We didn't really talk about Magwood. He's going to play a little
yeah,
point guard, shooting guard off the bench. I think
he's
he
gonna
played
have
in.
to.
Yeah, he can. He's a firecracker when he gets going. It'll be interesting to see how he plays. I'm also curious to see how much Bruce is involved. I know whatever Steven wants or the coaching staff wants from Bruce, he'll give it. I will say the preseason game a little bit concerning when they cut to him every 5 seconds. He's sitting
He's
courtside right
straight
across
across.
the bench from Steven Pearl. Like
Giving him
if
hand
Steven's going to
signals.
be successful, obviously he's going to want the support of his dad, who will always be there to give it to him. Maybe take a step back, at least
Give him room to
visually.
breathe. Give him
Yeah.
room to breathe.
Um,
Let him run his program the way that he wants to.
agree.
Yeah,
So who really knows? Again, I think they got a relatively high ceiling and a relatively low floor. If you're a bettor, I think betting on Keyshawn Hall's scoring props is a must. That guy is going to score a lot of points, whether it's at the free throw line or not. He can play. But I mean, that's really all I got on Auburn. Josh, you have any outside opinion on the team? Any questions you want to ask?
Yeah, I mean, on the outside, it's a lot of unknowns, like you said, a lot of JUCO, a lot of D2. I'm really excited about Elijah Freeman. Kind of similar how what y'all are saying about Lamar Wilkinson, how you guys wanted him. We wanted Elijah Freeman. I think he actually
yeah.
visited IU before he visited Auburn. Ultimately chose Auburn. So, what are your expectations for him? And I guess who do you see being the leading scorer? Do you think it's Pettiford, or do you think it's one of these new guys coming in, Keyshawn Hall? Maybe it's someone that's established. What are your thoughts on leading scorer?
I think it's gonna be Hall.
I
I
think it's
think
Keyshawn Hall.
I think he's
Yeah,
going to be your more consistent scorer. Again, one thing I love about Hod, even on last year's team that was loaded with NBA talent, the guy they were going to take over a game and hit a shot late in the game was the 18-year-old freshman, and he
And
did it more.
he had massive shots, no
And he
doubt about
did
that.
it more times than not. I
Yeah.
think that's still going to be his role. I think we're going to depend on him to score a little bit more than last year. That being said, I think Hall is a surefire, 16 plus points a game. I think he's going to be your leading
I
scorer.
agree. Yeah, I think you could maybe expect Hall because I think Hall was like 19 last year at UCF. I think maybe like you said somewhere around 16. Tahad was, I mean, obviously there was a lot of scoring on that team. I think Tahad could be kind of around like a 14, where they're not too far off, but hard for me to look at this team right now. And Josh, you mentioned Elijah Freeman. Just thinking about who could be kind of the third, double digit a night scorer on this team. You know, Kashawn Murphy did it off the bench at Mississippi State last year. He's got some range in his bag, but again, we don't really know what's going on with him. I think it would probably be Freeman as kind of that next guy up. We know he can shoot it. He's super athletic. He can get to the rim. Um, I could see him at his probably closer to his ceiling being around like 11 to 12 points a game, but that feels even a little ambitious. But I would probably dub him as kind of the next guy up to be a double digit scorer for this team. He's gonna have to play and play a lot because I'm a little worried about Abdul Bashir. I know he put up like 30 a night in JUCO and um, can shoot the lights out, but he doesn't look to me like he's physically ready to play in the SEC. And again, it goes back to my concerns with just depth in general. Magwood's going to have to play, having a true freshman backup point guard that's going to have to play a good bit. Obviously, that was Tahad last year, but what can he do? He seems to maybe be a little bit of a hothead or can kind of be, get in his own head at times, but he can also score it. So, I'm excited about Elijah Freeman. He showed some good potential. Back to your initial question, Josh, in that scrimmage against Oklahoma State. Um, but it's going to be a heavy dose of Keyshawn Hall and Todd.
Yeah, I think he's going to be the perfect merch of if this team is playing towards the ceiling, it's because we're getting a lot of production from Elijah Freeman, and
For
I
sure.
think I
He's your
think
X factor.
yeah, and I think Coming from a D2 school with two very ball centric guys in Pettiford and Hall, Freeman's used to having the ball in his hand. I don't know how good he is at creating his own shots. So to me, I think he'll also be a merchant of like, if we're playing fast and in transition, he's going to be an offensive mismatch. If we're stagnant and slow, I find it hard for him to get his production with Tahad and Hall handling the ball all the time. But we'll see. This team is going to, I mean, this is kind of crazy to say, but I think this team is going to ebb and flow and hit their ceiling if Freeman is as good as advertised. And he's young too.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm looking at your schedule. You're tested early.
Oh yeah,
Houston,
we're gonna know.
then of course the players we talked about, Oregon and Michigan, Purdue. Is that in Mackey or is that in Indy?
It's in Indy.
Indy,
Indy, okay, that
Indy. Yeah,
helps. Houston,
yeah.
I
Got
mean, you
some.
got the preseason 1 and 2 on your schedule. Which one of those games you guys looking forward to the most, and which one do you think is going to tell you the most about your team?
I'm afraid the most of Purdue. I'll tell you that Daniel Jacobson guy is 7'3", just center who sits down low. To Hunter's point, interior defense and rebounding is a concern. That guy, it seems like he's an auto problem. Um, I'd say looking forward to the most. I love playing Houston. They get in your grill.
Yeah,
They force you to play physical, and I think that shows a lot about your team's personality, how you kind of handle playing against them. Last year's team was able to beat them, and I think that was awesome to see. Houston is kind of the game that I have marked on the calendar. Again, not a lot of expectations with them coming in as the number 2 ranked team in the country. I don't know necessarily that we'll win, but I think that game will tell us a lot about the kind of grit that our team has.
Yeah, but we don't have to take a plane to play Houston, so unless they get in a fight
Yeah.
on like the bus or whatever, hard to say. Yeah, man. I'd love to kind of rapid fire some predictions here in a second. I just don't see us 3 games into the season being able to play with Houston. Quite honestly, like I just think we got a game that was actually kind of Todd Pettiford's coming out party last year where he just caught fire and kind of willed us to that game in a game where it felt like we just couldn't catch up to him. I am extremely high on this Houston team, and I think that one's just really early in the year. For me, actually, I'm kind of looking at the Michigan game as being the one I'm excited about. Just because of I think it's a good litmus test for both teams. Like Michigan brought in a bunch of talent out of the transfer portal. Um, obviously a rematch from last year's Sweet 16. That's going to be a fun one for me, and going to Arizona too. That's going to be kind of fun. Yeah, that's not something we get to see a lot that Auburn goes out west and plays. I love the true road games too. Like I'm a big
yeah, I
advocate
agree.
for just college sports in general. Keep games on campus. I know the money's
100%.
in the neutral sites and all that, but um, I love the hell out of us, going out to Tucson and playing a game out there.
Yeah, like your Houston games in Birmingham and your Purdue games in Indy. Like just put those
Yeah,
on campus. You're within
Yeah.
an hour,
yeah.
two
Because I mean,
hours of campus.
you did basically like a quasi home and home.
Right.
We played Purdue and Birmingham last year, and we played Houston in Houston, but in the Rockets arena. It's like
It's the
play a
same,
home and
just put
home.
on campus.
What
I agree.
like but they put a brand on it, and it
Right.
was the
Money.
bad boy mowers classic when we played Houston last year. It's like, come on, like just play the games on campus.
What a fitting name
um
for a game against Houston. Bad boy
yeah.
mowers.
All right. This is something I want to do because I know we've been going for a little bit. I want to just rapid fire Power Five, each Power Five conference. Give me, we'll go one by one, but we're gonna do a Player of the Year, a Champion, a Coach of the Year, and a Newcomer of the Year. So a freshman or a transfer. And I've got a sheet I'm gonna take them down on, but um, and then maybe after that we could throw some Final Four picks down. But just wanted to kind of keep call our shot on some of these kind of rapid fire and keep track of it throughout the season. Um, so starting with the ACC, Peyton Player of the Year.
I'm gonna go Cam Boozer. I'm gonna get kind of chalky there. I think if Duke is going to be that top 5 team, I guess right now ranked 6, and they're gonna play big games in front of you on national television, it feels like every single game you're gonna get force fed Cam Boozer, and I think he's got a good shot to be Player of the Year in the ACC.
I wish I could share my screen so I could like put the visual up. But anyway, Josh, Player of the Year in the ACC.
I like Boozer, but just in the spirit of keeping things a bit different, I'm going to double down. I'm going to say Ryan Conwell at Louisville.
I like that pick. I'm actually going to go Darian Williams at NC State. I think playing under Will Wade, he was a big time dude for Texas Tech last year, and JT Toppin got a lot of the spotlight, but he can play ball. All right, regular season. We won't predict conference tournaments; too much of a crapshoot. But regular season ACC champ.
I'm gonna go Louisville.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Louisville as well. I looked up some of the odds for some of these picks beforehand. I think they were second. They're plus 200. If I remember, I didn't have Duke's written down. Like they're plus 155 maybe. But yeah, I'll go with Louisville as well.
Clean sweep.
Yeah.
Are we just haters?
We
Yeah, I
might
think
be.
so.
So with that in mind, is Pat Kelsey your ACC Coach of the Year, or is there somebody else you guys like?
All right. Well, this is bad ball knowledge. Someone give me Virginia's coach. I've heard a lot of good things about them in the offseason. I think they're going to surprise some people. I think he's going to win Coach of the Year. It's crazy. I don't even know his name, and I'm picking him Coach of the Year.
It's Odom from. Is he?
Yeah.
Was he VCU?
You, I don't know.
I
He might
mean,
have been VC. That sounds right. I don't hate that pick though, Peyton.
Was he? He was the one that beat Virginia at who was the
Furman.
16 seed that beat him.
Oh,
I think that was the whole story. Is this guy when Virginia lost to the 16 seed? What was I can't remember the school. I can look it up. I guess this guy was their coach. I'm pretty sure.
Ryan Odom from VCU.
UMBC.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was coach at UMBC when they beat Virginia. So that's kind of a full circle deal here.
I like it, P. Just
I
there's
don't hate
no
that.
bias there at all either, right?
Yeah, no bias at all. Just a quick off the rip. As a as you guys will come to know about me, I'm a tortured fan. I grew up a Virginia fan my whole life till I got to Auburn, and then of course we play them in the Final Four. And double dribble or not, foul or not, Virginia won that game and later the national championship. And I didn't even watch the one team I cheered for my whole life win the one championship that I would have got to experience because I was shifting over to my Auburn loyalty. But so yes, I did grow up a Virginia fan, but I do think Tony Bennett got lost in the current state of basketball. I think him stepping away was better for his reputation and better for the university. So I've heard a lot about Ryan Odom, even though I didn't know his name. He's my pick for Coach of the Year.
I like it. I'll go Will Wade. I think Pat Kelsey's gonna. I think Louisville's gonna be great. And
Oh
they're gonna be
my.
good. But they're. I think Will Wade. I like him. What? Sue me.
That makes two of us when I started thinking about it more.
Can't go through. I picked Conwell. I picked Louisville to win the conference. I
Sure,
can't
sure, you
complete
gotta.
split it. Yeah, so we'll go Will Wade.
uh, and then real quick, Newcomer. I guess how do they handle that? Like you picked Conwell, I picked Darian Williams. Like those are newcomers. Do they give that also if those guys win Player of the Year, or they give it to somebody else? I feel like they give it to
I feel
them
like they would switch it. You think they'd give it to him still? I don't know. I don't know
for
how
the
the
sake of it. For the sake of this, because it's going to happen in every conference. Give me somebody else. Give me not your Player of the Year if they're a newcomer for Newcomer of the Year. We'll diversify a
Um,
little bit.
well, then I'll go Williams from NC State. I mean, I think he could be Player of the Year. You know what? Actually, I'll switch it up. We'll go another young guy at UNC. I'm down on UNC. I think this team is bad. They're going to be in your face though, a lot like Duke. Give me Caleb Wilson, freshman. I think he's going to score a lot. And honestly, UNC, if they're if they're bad, kind of like I think they are, he could just put up numbers and try and get to the NBA, which I think makes him a viable pick for newcomer of the year.
I'll go with Boozer for all the reasons Peyton said earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of lean that way too, but I think Conwell, like Josh, you're picking Conwell for Play of the Year. Um, but I will stick with what I kind of had in my head, and that was Cam Boozer. All right, let's roll here. Big Ten Player of the Year. Is anybody not taking Braden Smith?
No.
No, unfortunately, he would also be. I don't know if we're doing it. He would be my pick for National Player of the Year as well.
Yeah, that's. It feels like him and JT Toppin are probably like a little bit odds. I don't know what the odds
Yeah.
are, but probably a little bit above the rest of the pack. Um, are you guys all taking Purdue as your regular season champion?
Yep, I am. I think it's unsexy. I think we're gonna, especially being a loyal friend to Josh, and honestly, I don't like Purdue to begin with. This team's loaded. I think I'm gonna find more reasons to try and say that they're not great, but I think they are almost as good as advertised. So I would take them.
Yeah, me too. Braden Smith,
Yeah, for the regular season.
TKR. Yeah, yeah, for sure. Braden Smith, TKR, and Fletcher Lawyer, probably the best three in the like trio in the country.
Yeah,
Put them up there with BYU's.
yeah. This one's kind of fun with the Big Ten Coach of the Year.
Um, I'm gonna go Mick Cronin.
Yeah, I like
Josh
that.
DeVries.
No, I'll save my homer pick for newcomer of the year. I'll go with, I'll go with, I'll go with Altman, Dana Altman.
God, man,
I can keep
you're
taking yours.
sniping
Oh,
my
that's a good
picks.
one.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
Yeah,
he's a tournament guy. He gets the guys ready to go come February. I think he does, like you
yeah,
touched on, Biddle and Shellstad coming back. He got a lot of talent to work with. So we'll go with the fun one.
yeah. I just like, I think in a league where there's so much noise around Michigan, Purdue, even UCLA a little bit, like when I think of Coach of the Year, it's like who kind of, who could potentially be a top four, double bye team that maybe wasn't quite as talked about. And I feel like Oregon kind of fits that mold. So I love Dana Altman too. I think he's a great coach. So that was my pick. Newcomer.
Well, I just talked about him a lot, so I'm gonna go Donnie Dent.
Great pick.
Yeah.
This will all be a homer here. Give me Tucker DeVries, coach's kid. Bring some pride back to Bloomington, Indiana.
Hell yeah. Um, I'm stuck between Sturts and Donnie Dent. Uh, I'm gonna go Donnie Dent because I was boring.
Starts though is very viable. I
He's
mean,
he's a ball player, dude. Like
yeah, he's
no
great.
no Chad Baker Mazara picks across the panel here. Damn.
Fuck that guy.
If there was a category for most fighter of the year or like
Yeah.
right hand hook of the year or something, he'd probably be. Big 12. We have not really talked about the Big 12 a ton. Obviously Houston's dominating the preseason storylines. Um, Player of the year in the Big 12.
Um,
You got Peterson, you got the BYU gang.
I'm gonna go Manuel Sharp
hmm
I
from
like that.
Houston.
Yeah, man. They're gonna be so good. You can make a case for him. You make a case for Uzan,
Yeah.
Josh.
I go to Benasta. It's fun rooting for a freshman. He's obviously gonna get a shot. It's in BYU's fun offense, so why not?
You said AJ?
Yep.
I was kind of leaning that way too. Maybe I might save him for my newcomer pick. Um, I can't pick BJ Haggerty. What are we doing? JT Toppin.
Mm,
JT Toppin.
Oh,
yeah, that's an oversight.
yeah, that
Yeah,
was.
if
Yeah,
anybody wants a switch there, I'll allow it. I
I'll, I'll,
forget.
I'll, I'm gonna jump on the bandwagon. I'm switching to JT Toppin. He's actually, Josh said Braden Smith is probably his player of the year. JT Toppin will be mine. So I'm gonna switch to JT Toppin.
Uh,
I'll stick with AJ. But yeah, no, JT Toppin's great. He's deserves all the headlines he's gonna get.
Champion Houston across the board.
Yep.
Anybody going else? No BYU, Peyton. That was your gang earlier.
Yeah, no, they're going to be must-watch TV. They're going to be good. They're going to be fun. They're going to be very similar to Kentucky. I think score a lot of points when it comes down to the nitty-gritty, the travel and wear and tear of a 35 game season or whatever it is now. I think I'm back in Sampson and Houston.
Yeah, I'm on Houston too, plus 155. I did kind of like Kansas at plus 750. Good value, but my pick is going to be Houston.
Yeah.
Yeah. Coach, is it as easy as Kelvin Sampson's or somebody
Samson for
else
me.
out there? I think I'm with you.
They've shifted coaches a lot, and every every time a new guy steps up for them, with Beard and then that old guy who was their interim coach, something Brown. I'm gonna go Grant McCaskillin. Yes, I had to look his name up too, but Texas Tech's head coach.
Yeah. McCaslin and then two for Kelvin. I'm going Kelvin as well. Newcomer. I already said I'll go Debanza with that pick.
I will be doing that as well. That to me is almost a layup.
I'll take AJ Peterson, the other
Oh,
red freshman.
Darren Peterson at Kansas.
Yeah, Darren Peterson, my
Yeah,
bad.
Did
yeah,
you
Did I
say,
say
did you
AJ?
say
Yeah.
Adrian
Yeah. Can I combine them into one player?
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Darren
That's
Peterson.
funny.
He should be a focal point of that offense and, you know, very highly ranked coming in. I'm
Yeah,
excited to see him
he's
play.
gonna he's gonna put that's a little bit of or it can be a little bit of a numbers award, and he's gonna have his opportunity to put up a ton. That newcomer and player of the year. Big East uh player of the year. This one's interesting because I'll be honest, like outside of UConn, St. John's, I know less about the Big East than I have in a lot of years. Villanova's more unknown than they've been.
Yeah, dude. I
Marquette's
I don't
not what they
know.
once were.
Um, I think he won last year. Let's call him to repeat. Give me Zuby Ejiofor.
Yeah, I'd have to imagine he's probably the odds-on favorite.
Yeah, I don't know what this guy's odds are going to be, but experience in the Big East, experience on UConn. Give me Alex Caravan.
Yeah, that's a good pick. I'm gonna go a little outside the box. It's kind of more of an upside pick, but staying with UConn, I'm gonna go solo ball.
I
I like
like
it.
that.
Champion St. John's or UConn, unless somebody's gonna pull Seton Hall or something out their
No,
ass.
to me, I talked about earlier. Think St. John's could be good. Think they're a little too high. I'm gonna go with UConn. I think it's a little bit of a revenge season for Hurley. At least to lean into that. I'll take him. I think Silas Emery from Georgia is gonna give him an added bump with Solo Ball and Caravan coming back. I think that's a pretty good team over there.
Yep, I'm not going to overthink it either. Give me UConn, Dan Hurley.
Yep, clean sweep. Uh, Coach, you guys going back to Dan Hurley with that?
It's hard because, he's so established. Like, would they give him the award even if he
Yeah,
truly deserves it?
yeah. You're gonna have a team in that conference overperform. Whether it's like McDermott or somebody that kind of
Shaka
outplays
Smart, maybe.
I was just
their
about to say
expectations. Yeah, Shaka.
this seems like the spot for Shaka. When he has the talented teams, he seems to come up short. But when they're not talking about him, you know, maybe that's a play.
I got a
Almost
good
has
one for I'll go with this. He's also technically a new coach. I'll go Kevin Willard at Villanova, coming in from Maryland.
Good pick. Good pick.
Bring in, that
yeah,
culture he had at Maryland. And like you
yep.
said, they don't have that high expectations, so I think he could probably pretty easily overperform what he's expected to do.
Yeah, I'm gonna lock in Shaka. So Hunter, if you want, you got your clean shot at the king.
Yeah, I'm not gonna overthink it. I'm gonna go Dan Hurley.
Probably the
Boring,
right pick.
basic. Uh, Newcomer, and then we'll get to the SEC, and that'll be the last one. Newcomer in the Big East.
Silas Demery. Again, I feel like we're
Mm,
only talking about UConn and St. John,
Yeah,
but
that's
I
good.
think he's gonna be pretty good.
I'm gonna stick with UConn. I'm gonna go with Braylon Mullins, the freshman I talked about coming out of Indiana. He did get hurt. I think I saw him practice a couple days ago, so he's gonna miss the first 6 weeks. But I think he'll play enough. I've watched a lot of his high school highlights and some of his games. He's a pretty special player. So give me Braylon Mullins.
I'm gonna go, and my bag's not this deep. I'm scrolling the roster graphics here. Guy that was in the SEC last year, dynamic scorer at Vandy, Jason Edwards is now at Providence.
Oh,
I'm gonna roll with that one. That feels
It's a
like a
fun one.
fun newcomer of the year pick. All right, This one is Peyton's gonna suck because we have some, as Josh probably did with the Big Ten, obviously. Who's your player of the year in the SEC?
I'm gonna go with the Tega away. I just feel like statistically being in that Kentucky offense gives you a nod to being the player of the year. You get a lot of stats. I think he's a great guard.
Agreed. Same pick for me.
It's a good pick. Yep. Uh, I don't want to do this. I don't want to say what I'm about to say.
Just
I
say
can't.
it.
I can't. I can't pick with Aaron Philon.
Ah, God.
I can't. I can't do it. I can't do it.
I think you have to now.
Do I? Is that how that works? I'm just making sure there's not anybody that I'm like, damn it, damn it. All right, fine. Philon. SEC champ. I'll be honest. I sitting here looking at this, I have no idea who I'm gonna pick in 30 seconds.
I'm salivating at this pick. Don't love the team. Do like the coach. I think they're usually fizzle out in March, kind of like Purdue, but they always put up a good regular season. I'm going to take Tennessee.
I like it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Kentucky. I have it written down. I think they're plus 280. I think that was the second best odds behind Florida. Yeah, it could be Kentucky.
Yeah, Josh, unfortunately, I think I'm with you on that one. Um, I'm rolling with Kentucky as well. Coach of the year.
Give me Mark Pope. If I'm going to take Tennessee as my team, I'm going to hedge my bet and hop over to Kentucky for coach of the year. I'm going to take Mark Pope.
Yeah, Payne, I think that's a good pick. I'm not gonna take him because I'm not gonna do a clean sweep of Kentucky because I have some self-respect. But I'm gonna go with Mike White at Georgia. Um,
Oh, God.
he's kind of feels like he's starting to build something there. So kind of like my pick that I had in the Big East. If he overperforms expectations, then I think they could give him that award. So give me Mike White.
Um, I'm not gonna pick Porter Moser, but I do think Oklahoma's a team that could somewhat outperform their expectations. Um, hmm, I don't want to go back to Pope either, but I did pick Kentucky to win it. Yeah, you know, second year coach gets the blue blood back to where they should be. I'll go Mark Pope as well. Peyton Newcomer of the year.
Um,
Do it.
again, I think this is
Do it.
fairly easy. I think this is I'll call it a
Do it.
layup. Keyshawn Hall. I think this guy is going to score a lot in Bruce, God, in Stevens' offense. Uh, I think this guy's a walking bucket. I know if you look at Ken Palmy, he's probably not the most efficient or highest offensive rated player in the world, but he's going to score. Good, bad, or ugly. I think no matter what Auburn does, he's giving you 16 to 20 points a game. And being a newcomer, I think that puts him in a great spot to win that award.
I like it. Let's go with
Well,
Jacoby
well,
Gillespie.
yeah, it's a good
I'm no,
pick.
I don't care. Who cares? I'll just go with Gillespie.
And Peyton, I saved my homer pick for Stats Hall as well. I think I said this to you a few weeks ago. I don't know how much winning basketball he plays, but he's going to put up numbers. I have no doubts. Can score at all three levels. So that will be my one homer pick in Keyshawn Hall as the SEC newcomer of the year. Peyton, final four picks.
First and foremost, I'm going with, again, spoiler, my player of the year, JT Toppin, and my coach of the year, Ms. Farland. I am taking Texas Tech as my first team in the Final Four. I will take a team kind of down the road from them, same conference. I'll take Houston to run it back and go to punch their ticket. Then I'm going to go with another preseason top 4 team. I think Dan Hurley plays his best basketball when his nuts are on the line. I think UConn will be my third team. And my fourth team will be an SEC team. No, it will not be Auburn. No, it will not be Florida. I'm going to take Kentucky. I think away is going to power them to Final Four.
I like it. I got Purdue probably as the number one overall seed. I don't think they'll win the national championship, but player of the year on their team. Like I said, also Fletcher Loyer, TKR, brought in some other guys to complement him. Houston will also be in the Final Four, as Payton said. Kentucky, as Payton said. And then my fourth team, surprised you didn't take this one, P. I will go with BYU.
Okay. Yeah,
It's
gosh.
fun. And I started thinking about this, and I was a little worried I was going to have too many red teams, because I've got Houston, and I won't even leave it up for I've got Houston as my national champion. I think this is obviously in hindsight because they played in it last year, but going into a season, I think this is Kelvin Sampson's best shot at a natty that he's had.
It has to be.
Yeah.
I think so. I think it's natty or bust for them. I am going to not. I'm going to not pick Purdue. I am going to go back to one of the favorites earlier. I'm gonna put Louisville in my Final Four.
I love it.
Love that. Yeah.
So Houston, Louisville. I am also taking UConn, and I am also taking Kentucky. Those were kind of the teams I had. I had
Love
Duke right
that.
there. I thought about Texas Tech actually. BYU is like they've got the makings of a Final Four team with their offensive firepower. But yeah, so I got Houston, Louisville, UConn, and Kentucky. And then who do you got like out of those four? Who do you guys have win it all?
I'm gonna take Houston.
Yeah,
I'll do a quick little sidebar. The teams I'm betting on, I'm taking Houston at plus 1,000. That's who I think's gonna win. But I'm also gonna bet on two other teams. Value wise, I'm taking BYU plus 2,000. I think value that's honestly pretty bad for a team with Rob Wright and Diabonza being kind of not necessarily proven within BYU, being new guys, but I'll take them at plus 2,000. And lastly, I'll take a flyer on Bill Self, Kansas at plus 2,500.
Yeah, those are great odds for self.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I'm going Houston too. Sounds like we got a clean sweep.
yeah,
But yeah, they're too good. They're so well coached. Don't like him, don't like the coach, but gotta respect what they've done, what he's built there.
for sure. I was just looking at my picks. Can the state of Kentucky handle Louisville and Kentucky in the Final Four? I
God,
just I just realized I picked both of them. That
Where's the
would
Final Four
be
this year? Do we know? Or obviously we know, but do we?
uh
Is it in? Is it in Indy? It might be.
that might be right.
Let me see.
I get so mixed up now between like the Super Bowl, the college football national
Yeah, it's
championship.
it's in Indy.
Lucas Oil.
I mean
Watch
that.
the game in March
That's a
there.
short
Yeah, we did.
short trip for them, isn't it?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is very close, especially for Louisville. I don't like how as a podcast we're a Louisville and Kentucky pocket. We're picking them as all of our picks and
Yeah,
our
we're
awards. I don't like it.
we're kind of I don't know.
We're new to
Um,
this.
yeah. National Player of the Year, Josh. I think you said you have Braden Smith winning
Yep, I do.
National
Don't
Player of the
like him,
Year
but I respect him. Braden Smith.
for sure. P,
JT Toppin.
you did say that. Yeah, I don't want to pick Braden Smith, but I'm going to pick Braden Smith.
He's
Um,
so good. It
I
sucks,
just,
but he's so
yeah,
good.
like, they're going to be a top two seed. He's going to lead the country in assists. He's going to score a lot. Like, it feels like the recipe's there for him to be the national player of the year. I think JT Toppin is every bit as capable, though. I will say that. Um, I think Debanza, Darren P, like, I think some of those guys could absolutely. Who do y'all like? Like, if there was maybe there was a freshman of the year award, like between Debanza, Peterson, Boozer, Chris Sinak at Houston, Nate Mann at Tennessee. Like, is there any like who would you guys take to be like the best freshman or freshman of the year? I think I'd go Debanza
Yeah, that's where my head's at, D-Bunt. I think Ament at Tennessee is actually going to move the needle a little bit. I think he could be up there, but I'm going to take AJ.
Yeah, I agree with what you said, Payne. Give me AJ. And I do think Ament is going to be a great player. I just don't know if he's going to get as many opportunities in Tennessee's offense. Kind of
Yeah.
play a slower offense, but he's a great player.
Yeah, we didn't really talk about Chris Senak at Houston. I mean, he was a top five recruit, true
Hmm.
big man, coming in around a lot of experience, which I think he'll be a really good player.
That's basically all I've got. I know we covered a lot.
Yep, loaded intro season preview.
Yeah, a lot of
So
fun,
that
boys.
was yeah, absolutely, and we'll definitely keep this rolling as games get going. Where man, it's kind of crazy. You look up, and I think I said at the beginning of the show, like season tips off next Monday, week from tomorrow.
Yeah.
So we are right there.
Gonna
Um,
come soon
you know,
enough.
be freed from the chains of football season because it's been a rough go for some of us.
Not time yet.
Some of us, not all of us. Um, but yeah, good stuff, fellas.
All right, cool. Talk to you all next time.